Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture. Today we're going to talk about another very important issue in event management, which is event sponsorships. So first of all, let's look at today's agenda. In today's agenda, first of all, we're going to introduce the basic concept of sponsorships. We're going to talk about if you want to have a sponsor for your events, what will be the cost for you? And also we're going to look at how we are able to develop different levels of sponsorships. We talk about sponsorship benefits. And the last topic we're going to talk about today is sponsorships activations. Okay, so sponsors are very, very common in our events. We do need a sponsor because we do need some financial support, which could help us to maximize the revenue generation to cover those potential costs that we spend on hosting events. So what is a sponsor? So what is sponsorships? So technically, sponsorships is a legal contract between a sports property and another entity exchanging something of value, whether that's cash or in kind. Within the sports property, allow the sponsoring organization the rights to commercializations of its brands. So for the sponsorship, normally we say that is based on exchange theories. So in the sponsorship, you do have two types of party involved. One is the sponsor, right? Those business, they would like to affiliate their brand, their products with a particular sports event, sports teams, sports organizations, right? Another one is a sports property, which we consider them as a sponsee, right? Sponsee are those who own the rights of having hosting particular sports events. So for the exchange theory, talking about these two different parties, sponsor and sponsee, they all agree with on exchanging some things, and they believe things they have been exchanged are completely identical in terms of the values. So for the event, what we are able to provide to a sponsor is the opportunity to promote their product, promote their brands, promote their service, and also give them some other benefits, right? So for instance, we give them some tickets. We allow them to have a hospitality area where they're able to directly communicate with the participants and spectators, and also give them the opportunities. We give them different signage inside the stadium, and they're able to let more people to know about their relationship with us. We can also to print their logos in the tickets. We can also print their advertisements in the program that we're selling to the customer. So those approaches we always use to try to sell it to the sponsors. And for those sponsors, what they're able to offer to the events are two types. One is cash, right? So something we're looking for. You provide cash, give us money, very straightforward, or you can provide in-kind sponsor. For the in-kind sponsor, that means we don't give you cash directly. We can provide service or provide goods to you. So for instance, so if Coca-Cola happened to be the sponsor of your event, so they decided to give you possibly like 300 box of the Coca-Cola, so as the investment they put into this event. So this is called in-kind sponsors. Or for instance, media partner, so they don't give you any money, but they're able to send out a crew to film these entire events, to make a program and broadcast on their platform. So those services they provide, we also consider a very important thing that you'll be able to exchange. So this is about sponsorships. We know sponsorships is actually one of the main revenue sources for having sports events, but we also need to understand one thing is in order to get those sponsorship money from the sponsors, we will also have to invest. There are also some potential costs associated with the sponsorships. So generally speaking, there are two types of the costs. One type of cost called development cost, another type of cost called fulfillment cost. So let's look at each of the costs one by one, which can help you to understand how you'll be able to secure a sponsor for events. So first cost is called development cost. So development cost is talking about before we are able to secure a sponsor, we will have to invest first, put some money to put these packages together, and then we are able to present this entire package to our potential clients, our potential sponsors. So for the development costs, they don't normally provide any value to the sponsors, and there should be a factors in as cost of the goods sold for the organizers. So a lot of time for the development costs that related to the first type of development cost is called sales commissions. So sales commission is like we're not reach out to the potential sponsors by ourselves, but we are hiring a marketing agency which can help us to reach out to our target audience. So when we find an agent to help us to identify the target sponsors, so we will have to pay them commissions, right? So that's one type of cost that we have to consider. Second type of cost is called sales expenses. Right? Sales expense that include like travel accommodation, business meal, business entertainments, gift, merchandise, premiums, and presentation material. So when we decided to present this opportunity to some of the potential sponsors, so we will have to go and present this opportunity to them. So there are a lot of different things we can do. We can travel to their destination, or we can invite them to our events. We're gonna cover the travels and accommodations. We're gonna have the business meal. We're gonna provide some entertainments during the visits. We will prepare some gift and merchandise products to them, and try to, those are little things that can really help you during the negotiations. And also when we try to present the entire proposal to them, there's also some potential costs, right? So you may have to print off something, give them a copy, give them some idea what this event looks like, how this event has been hosted in the past years, and why this event was so successful, who are our target audiences. So those are the costs. And the last types of the costs associated with the market research. So to identify those potential sponsors, we have to do some market research. Those are also some of the potential costs we have to consider. So all those costs are development costs. So those costs need to be spent before we are able to secure our sponsors. After rounds negotiation, we reach agreements, and these potential clients decided to collaborate with us, put the money into our events. So we also have to spend money when the agreement is done. This is called fulfillment cost. So for the fulfillment cost, that represent the actual out-of-pocket expense that the event organizers will incur to provide the benefit which the sponsors is entitled. So in these agreements, sponsor, as we mentioned previously, they always give you money or give you in-kind products, service, or goods. And we as the events, we also have to sacrifice some things to make sure we be able to provide them the opportunities. Right? The very common one is we give them some complimentary tickets. So complimentary tickets issued to a sponsor, that also means, although it doesn't seem like we have spent money, but since we give these tickets to the sponsors, that means we lost revenues for selling this ticket to the target audiences, right? So this is also the cost that we have to calculate. So event signage and display, sometimes the sponsors, they will make it by themselves, but sometimes we also have to collaborate, help them to make it, right? So those are the costs. And the costs also include the print and digital event guide. So we give event program, we sell event program. Since we need to add the sponsors' information there, so we have to add some extra pages to event program, which also associate with the cost. So sponsors give also sampling and giveaway, and also some discounting and couponing, right? So sometimes since sponsors really invest that money to this event, so we would like to give them some discount to allow them to sponsor for multiple years. So instead of just sponsor for 1 year, so if the company want to sponsor for 3 years, so we possibly give them some discount for the second year and third year. So those discount that when we're providing to the customers, which also will be considered as a cost, the revenue that we lost. Okay, so those are the two types of costs associated with the sponsorships. So when we try to create a sponsorship proposal, so we have to understand who are we trying to target. So to have the different levels of the sponsorship that we have to classify first. So based on the event, where different types of event, we have different types of teams, so they are looking for different levels of the sponsors. Right, so we have national level, we have regional level, we have local level. For the national level, that mainly involve national interest. So if you're Super Bowl, if you are NCAA national championship, those you have the fans for all around the countries. Even you have international fans who are following these competitions. So when you look at sponsors, you're more likely to target those individuals, those business who are willing to target the entire country. So you're gonna go and work with a company like insurance company, right? State Farm, that is insurance company. They want to promote the brands nationally. You possibly want to work for a telecommunication organization like AT&T, Verizon's. So those are also they would like to more likely to collaborate with you and invest you. And the regional event, including more like a geography limited. So for instance, some of professional teams like NBA Chicago Bulls. So for them, when they're looking for a sponsor, they're more likely to look at those sponsors in their area to try to target the entire regions. Right. And for the local level, they normally have the nearest geography focus, usually appeal to the special segments in the area. So for instance, if you are the local high school, right, you're not going to ask for like a big business to sponsor you. So you're more likely to ask for the local business because they're trying to target local markets there, and they don't have a lot of budget, so they're more likely to sponsor these like small events like the high school and minor league sports, right? So those are different levels of the sponsorships. And when we look at these big events sponsorships, I would like to show you an example. So this example is the Olympic sponsorships. Olympic Games obviously is international events, one of the biggest international events in the world. So that have more than 200 countries participate with nearly 11,000 athletes, 5,000 officials, like 5,000 media professionals, allowed to cover the Olympic Games. So Olympic Games is very global events, attract a lot of attention. So Olympic sponsorship is actually very interesting for us to study and look at. So when we look at the Olympic, they call it top program. So the top program started in 1984. So a little backgrounds about the Olympic Games. It's before 1984 Olympic Games. So 1984 Olympic Games took place in Los Angeles. So before the games, the Olympic Games always cost a lot of money. A lot of hosting city feel a big pressure having these events. So they didn't really make a lot of money except 1984 when the Olympic Games that took place in Los Angeles. So Los Angeles saw like 30 plus sponsors at that year. So it became one of the first Olympic Games to start making money. So that really gave not just Olympic sports, but also the entire sports world, the idea about the importance of the sponsorships in the power of the sponsorships. So IOC, after 1984 Olympic Games, started to create their own sponsorship programs called Top Partner Program. So for the Top Partner Program, the first program starting from 1985 to 1988, so for the Top Partner Program, they give the international business the opportunity to sponsor the IOC for 4 years. That means they include 2 Olympics, right? 1 Summer Olympic, 1 Winter Olympic Games, right? So they sell it for the sponsorship for 4 years. And the first top program was pretty successful. There were 9 companies want to pay, each of them paid $10 million to become the sponsorships. And the second top programs were starting from 1989 to 1992. There were 12 companies, each of them paid $20 million to become the Olympic sponsors. And now Olympic Games is really different compared to like 30, 40 years ago. It does have a global impact, right? With the advancements of the media technologies, Olympic Games became everywhere during the game when the games is ongoing. So they really made the Olympic Games value has been increased significantly, which has also increased the price of the Olympic sponsors. So the IOC repriced the top sponsors deal at $200 million in 2014, right? So there are a lot of we're really well-known company. They are the Olympic sponsors, top sponsors. Currently, it does have 13 or 14 sponsors. So Olympic Games, they try to keep their sponsors into that numbers around 10 to 13, 14 numbers. So one of pretty well-known brand that we know, we're familiar with is Visa, right? It has sponsors. So people might ask, Olympic sponsorship is super expensive, $200 million for 4 years, super expensive, right? How could we make this investment worth, right? So what are the benefits can we get as Olympic sponsors? So so to be the Olympic top sponsors, there are 5 benefits. The first benefit is you are able to use Olympic image and appropriate Olympic designations on the products. So one of the examples is like during the Olympic year, we can see Coca-Cola. You'll be able to use Olympic logos on their products. Also indicate that they're official sponsor of the Olympic Games. Made them pretty unique, right? They're the only organization which are able to use the Olympic logo on their products. So other products like Pepsi, you can't use Olympic logos on your products or any of your promotion, you can't use that. So that is the one advantage. Because those events internationally, as we mentioned, so they really help the Coca-Cola sell their products internationally to the more than 200 markets. And the second opportunities is like hospitality opportunities. Hospitality opportunities, that means they will allow those sponsors to have the place inside the Olympic venue. They're able to reach out to the their audience. They're able to accommodate some of the their clients. So I also normally will give them significant amounts of the Olympic tickets, and they can use this ticket to host their clients and make them have wonderful experiences. Right. And the third one is they have a direct advertising and promotional opportunities. So they're able to sell their products inside these events. So for instance, if you travel to the Olympic Games, Tokyo possibly won't be able to welcome the international visitors. But 2024, if you travel to Paris to watch the Olympic Games, and you're only able to use Visa credit card, right? You can't use any other like American Express or like Discovers or MasterCard. You can't use other credit cards. You can only use Visa credit card. So they give you the opportunity to use your products. So this is on-site concessions and product sales and showcase opportunities. You also be able to advertise yourself inside the venues. And you can promote yourself inside the venues and also at the Olympic Village, the Olympic hosting city. And the last benefit is ambush marketing protection. So what's the ambush marketing? If you took sports marketing class before, you should know ambush marketing are those non-sponsors they want to associate themselves with the Olympic Games, right? So for instance, we talk about Coca-Cola is the Olympic sponsors, right? So Pepsi, they try to associate themselves with the Olympic Games. So IOC, what they're trying to do is they try to protect your interest, try to prevent this ambush marketing. So Pepsi, for instance, we talk about they can't really use Olympic logos to present themselves. And what could they do is Pepsi could have like sign a contract with Simone Biles. They say you can represent our products. Right, Simone Biles obviously is Olympian. How people know her is that because she's Olympian, right? So that is what we call the ambush marketing. So IOC will be able to try their best to protect you from the ambush marketing. So those are current IOC top sponsors. Look at those sponsors. Right, we're pretty familiar with most of these company. Majority of them American company, or half of them American company. Like Coca-Cola American company, Airbnb, right? And Dole is American company, it's a financial company. And GE is also American company. Inter and also P&G, this is a company located in Cincinnati, headquarters in Cincinnati. So we are really familiar with Visa, which is a credit card company, right? So those are American company are very interested in taking advantage of these major international sports events to try to promote their products and service internationally. So this is the race of to be the IOC top sponsors. For the Olympic Games, you have a top sponsor, right? Those global sponsors. In addition to the top sponsor, they also have the host country. They can also go and find their local sponsors, for instance. And the 2021 Olympic Games will take place in Tokyo, right? So Japanese company, they also could promote themselves using the Olympic logos just in Japan, but they can't use in other country, but only use in Japan. So those are like local sponsors. So for other events, other sports events, sponsorship can be classified into 4 types. The first one is title sponsor, which means the organization's name, the brand names will be able to become a title of these events, right? So in professional sport in the US, it's very non-common, right? But when we look at professional sports outside of the United States, that's actually somewhat really common. For instance, English Premier League. If you follow English Premier League, you know English Premier League is sponsored by Barclay Band. Barclay Band that is actually the title sponsors. People call it Barclay Band's English Premier League. So these are title sponsor, right? We also have presenting sponsor. So presenting sponsor, their names normally not directly associated with the title of the event, but just follow the title of the event. So we're gonna look at some example later. And we also have a categorical exclusive sponsor. So each of the category, we could have the official sponsor, which means other business in that category cannot sponsor this event. We look at the Olympic Games previously, right? We talk about if Visa is official sponsor and MasterCard cannot become the sponsor or any levels of the sponsorship associated with this event. So Visa does have an exclusive right. Right, it's called exclusive, which sometimes we call official sponsors. We also, the last one is called non-exclusive or official supplier, which means you'll be able to collaborate with multiple different business in that particular categories, right? So the cost of sponsorship, of course, is vary, right? When we look at the sponsorship premium, we find out if you want to become a title sponsorship, title sponsors, the cost is obviously will be much higher compared to we say non-official, non-exclusive and official suppliers, right? So these are the 4 different types of the sponsorships. Let's look at each of the sponsorship one by one. First one is title sponsors, right? Title sponsors, as we mentioned before, sponsors name of brands can be in the title of these events. Those benefits are obviously very clear because every time when you mention about this event, you also mention the brand, right? So that can really help you with your advertising, help you with ticket sales because your name's everywhere. Also, the website exposure, you can also get a lot of media coverages. So every time when sports, we say hoster to mention about this event, they will have to mention about the business, right? So one of the example, a PGA Tour does have one championships called John Deere Classic Championships. So John Deere Classic Championships that play at Moline, Illinois. So instead of calling them Quad City PGA Championship, they call John Deere Classics. So every time when people talk about it, word of mouth, right? We talk about marketing, right? So people will talk about John Deere Classic, John Deere Classic. So the name can be keep repeating by a lot of audience. Obviously, it can really help the exposure of these brands. For the title sponsors, a lot of time we could have their name and logo normally also incorporate into the event's names as well. So that could really enhance the values of the sponsors. So for instance, give you an example, and this is a New York marathons. So you'll be able to see, obviously, ING is the title sponsor, right? Because ING, the title, is inside the New York City marathons. You can also see this finish line. You'll be able to see the logo appear multiple times and also a lot easy to be identified compared to other sponsors, right? So this is about title sponsors. Second one is called presenting sponsorships. So instead of just having your brand names preceding the event's identity, so for the presenting sponsorships, their identity normally follow the titles. Compared to title sponsors, presenting sponsors, obviously the cost is much lower. And also media report can also separate the corporate identity for the event's names. So normally for the presenting sponsors, their name always will be included in the event's logo as well. So for instance, here we say NHL All-Star Games presented by Discover, right? Unlike the big Discover logos has been showing here, but the Discover logo still has been included in the logos events, right? So for this kind of the sponsors, so their price, as we mentioned, is lower. Of course, the benefit associated with the sponsorship package will also be less, right? You will receive less tickets. You possibly have a less signage, less TV exposures, right? But the cost is very reasonable, right? So that is the presenting sponsorships. The differences between title sponsors and presenting sponsors, right? And the third type is called category exclusive sponsorships. So category exclusive sponsorship is talking about in each of the product categories, we're going to identify only one partner that we want to collaborate with. This one could be very creative, right? You could have official sponsors in wellness, in beer, soft drinks, automobiles, energy drinks, waters, hotels, banks, credit cards, right? So those could be very unique. It could also include like insurance companies, financial service, or gas stations. So those, it's really up to you how you want to make the specific distinctions between different categories, So we also have seen in some situation, the company may be making something very similar products, but they all want to be your sponsors. How you be able to do that? So one of the examples is during the Olympic sponsor we look at previously. So Panasonic, which is a Japanese company, that is Olympic sponsors. Samsung, which is also the Olympic sponsor. Samsung is the Korean company. So they're making very similar products, right? They all make flat screen TV. They all make the camera, DVD recorders, or they all make the professional audio and video equipments. So when they sponsor the Olympic Games, IOC would like to put them in each of the separate categories. So Samsung is wireless communications and putting equipment sponsors for the Olympic Games, and Panasonic is audio, TV, video equipment sponsor. So they have a very clear distinctions here. So which means when you promote using Olympic logos, you are only able to use in your tablets, use in your cell phones, in your printers, in your computers, right? Although Samsung also make TV, right? Samsung also make digital camera. You cannot include your logo in those products. But for the Panasonic, they also make laptop, right? They also make desktop. They make the cell phone as well. In the past, they made cell phone. I'm not sure whether they still make cell phone or not. But now they're able to use Olympic logos on their TVs, their digital cameras, and DVD recorders, like these kind of product. But they can't use Olympic logos in other products. So they have a very clear distinctions to separate that, right? So to be a sports marketer, so you can also come up with a lot of different idea. So for instance, they might have a lot of different types of the drink sponsors, right? You could separate them as juice, separate them as water, coffee sponsors, tea sponsors, milk sponsors, or other dairy drink sponsors, right? You can create a lot of different niche markets, which can help you sell more with, say, official sponsors. The last type of sponsors is called non-exclusive sponsors, which is also has been referred as official suppliers. So which means as an events, we're not just collaborate with one, instead we're going to collaborate with multiple different business and allow them to have these opportunities to sell their products, promote their products using the powers of these sports events. A lot of time, this official supplier, they're not giving you cash. They're giving you VRK, called value in kind. So as we mentioned before, they provide you service, give you goods instead of giving you cash. So those are official suppliers. What would be the common official suppliers? Like we have multiple different media partner. We have music, radios. We collaborate with top radios. Right, we work with the sports radios, right? Or maybe we collaborate with a lot of like ticket sales partners in the area, which can help us sell more tickets. We collaborate with a lot of different bookstores, coffee store, which can help us to sell the merchandise products, right? So those are some example. Or maybe we work with multiple different hotels. They all become official hotel. We can use the hotel to accommodate the athletes and other partners, right? So those are official supplier. Will be able to work with multiple business. Another common one is full service, right? We collaborate with multiple different restaurants, right? We work with Pizza Hut. They can provide pizza. We work with McDonald's. They provide other fast food. This different kind of idea that you can think of. So this is about 4 different types of sponsors. Here show you a bigger picture of what the sponsorship premium looks like. Title, presenting sponsor, exclusive sponsors, you can come up with a lot of idea. And for non-exclusive sponsors, you can also come out with a lot of interesting idea. So the next topic we're going to talk about is sponsorship benefit, right? So sponsors, they spend a lot of money to your events. They want to know what kind of benefit could we get from them. When you present a sponsorship proposal, you will have to adjust these things. So when you present a sponsorship proposal, you have to go and understand your own brand a little bit better, right? Understand what kind of merchandise do you have, what kind of audience the event is targeting, and what kind of signage and what kind of benefit that you'll be able to provide it to your potential clients, right? So what kind of benefit that we can include in the sponsorship proposals? First things, for the title sponsor, we talk about we'll be able to change the event's image. We say, well, if you want to become the title sponsors, we can change the logo for you, we can change the identity, and also we need to come up with some interesting promotional strategy. So for instance, we can organize some pre-games, reception, post-game galas, award presentation, which give the sponsors a lot of opportunity to expose themselves. So for instance, at the award ceremony, we'll be able to have their logos there, right? A lot of logo displays over there. We can also invite their manager to present the award to the winners, right? Which is also a great opportunities for them to be presented in the general publics. So that's some benefits. Other benefits, we can increase the brand awareness and loyalties. That includes we allow them to use our database. So we have some customer ticket holder, they can use our database to use the database to send the information. So we can send an email to our audience or ticket holders to let them know about the promotions that provided by our sponsors. Right, and the second thing is we can use events logo, and they can use events logo in advertising. We can have a lot of signage inside the stadium. We can have a public address announcement. So during the events, so the event announcers could just express our appreciation to those support from our sponsors. And also we could have a 30 seconds video block and provide them the opportunity to show these, right? What else? What other benefit could we provide? Those include event ticket giveaway. We talk about different type sponsors. They ask for different tickets. We would need to think about what kind of ticket could we provide to them, right? Title sponsors, obviously, we will have to go and give them some VIP, a luxury suite, but just regular supplier possibly would just give some tickets for exchanges. Merchandising opportunities. We can create a merchandise products and work with them, create a merchandise products. Maybe we could create like a cup for the events, also include their logos, right? Publicity, they including the website exposure, social media exposure, print advertising, radio, television advertising, and also showcase the product through the sample or display. So during the event, we can allow them to have the booth where they'll be able to present their product and show their product to the general publics. So those are the benefits. For the sponsors, before we present our sponsorship to the clients, we need to come up with a proposal. So the next topic we're going to talk about what kind of thing we need to include in the proposal. So the proposal normally including 4 things. The first thing is you're going to talk a little bit about the opportunity presented by the events. So you give them some background information and let them know a little bit about the history of these events, target audiences, and also the huge success in the past, right? And also the second part is talk about the event itself, present a more complete description of these properties, and and also let them know the opportunities, right? Let them know the opportunities is provide more detail and how these companies can get involved. So a lot of time we talk about we have official sponsors, we have official supplier. We can create multiple different packages for your potential clients. Let them choose which one do they want to choose from. If they have a little bit more budget, they possibly want to, pick a better one. If they have a lower budget, they can pick a lower one. So give them some flexibility, give them a lot of backup plans, which is also give us more opportunities. And when you present these things, kind of very important is we try to use some pictures. Pictures, we always say pictures is worth 1,000 words. So for instance, when you try to show them where the signage would be located inside the stadiums, present them the pictures will be much better than just, having a lot of descriptions there. Presenting the pictures, show them, include their logos inside the venues can really make your proposal stand out. So when you have the sponsorship presentation, normally schedule 1 hour, you could have like 20 or 30 minutes presentation and give 20 to 30 minutes for the questions. And also during the presentation, you can bring some inexpensive gift for the first meetings. And in your proposal, don't forget to include your contact information. If they are interested in these opportunities, who they need to reach out to. So that's about sponsorship proposals. And when we're done with negotiation, we will have to do is reach agreement. So for the marketing team, we possibly don't have to write agreements, but if you work for the legal team, you possibly need to be working on the agreement. So agreements, what kind of thing that we would like to include are very crucial. First thing is we have determined and define the laws of the contract. So be more specific. If the company want to become the official sponsors, is the sponsor for a year or 2 years? If for 1 year, when is the start date? When is the end date? Which means after the end date, the company cannot use events to promote themselves, right? So cannot use the logos, cannot sell those products with the events logos. So we need to have that very clear. Second thing is we need to clearly identify and outline the benefits. Be more specific. So if we're able to give them some ticket, how many tickets, how many VIP seats, how many luxury seats, how many like regular seats. Also we indicate how many tickets per game. So those information need to be clear. So if we would like to provide them opportunity to display their signage, how big, which also need to be included in the events, the proposed agreements. And also the last very important thing is about payment obligation of the sponsors, how to provide payments, and also what will be the punishment associated with the late payment. Normally, they would pay some deposit first. Normally, they were using twice or 3 times. Set the time, right? So the first payments will pay by what time, what percentage, second payment, third payments, right? So this is about agreements. And agreements also we need to include some called contingency plan. Contingency plan is we need to include how we're gonna react if things do not go as well as we plan. Maybe event got canceled. Maybe the sponsorships do not implement as planning. So there are 2 types of things we need to include. The first one is indemnifications. So that means if one party violate the clause inside the agreement, so the party should be responsible for all the financial loss received by the other parties. So this is the first thing. Second thing we also need to include is the force majeure. Force majeure is talking about the termination of the agreements upon event cancellations. when neither party should be responsible for compensating each other's loss, because the event got canceled, which is completely out of control by either party. So the first machine normally will give some examples like wars, like fires, like flood, like hurricanes, like typhoon, like earthquakes, like lightnings, like pandemics, like lockout, right? So those are not something we'll be able to do. We can't prevent them from happenings. So in that situation, event got canceled, sponsorships, maybe sponsor waste some money at the beginning because they put some money for the promotion already, but if the event got canceled, so their sponsorship will not be able to execute it. So they will have to go and consider how to be able to include that in the sponsorship proposal. So one last thing we're going to talk about today is about activation. So for the sponsors, you're not just spend money in sponsoring events, you also need to learn how you be able to activate the sponsorship, which means you will also prepare some money to organize some other associate activity which can help you keep reminding people about the official relationship you have with these events, right? So this is about activation. All this activation try to be creative, and this is how people can remind you can remind this association that you have with these events, right? So a lot of things you can do. So you can distribute some free products, so like this product during the events. You fans, when they go and watch these events, they be able to show it and help you get media exposures, right? You can also have the autograph sections. Sponsor autograph section allow the star player to interact with fans at the same time, sell their products. And also you can have a display section which can help people to remember your products. So this is about sponsorship activation. So in today's class, we did talk about the sponsorship, costs associated with the sponsorship, different levels of sponsorship, benefits associated with sponsorship, and sponsorship activation. If you have any other question associated with sponsorship, don't hesitate and let me know. All right, that's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.